One thing that I watch out for is so this, unlike stocks, right? Bitcoin is trending up versus gold. It had this full retrace, and now it's trending downwards versus what we'd want to see is just continuation of that trend. That's what it's doing against the S&P 500. That's what we'd like to see it do against gold, but gold's been performing very, very well. The one thing that I'll say to look out for on this particular chart is these wedges, and this is getting to be a very stretched out wedge that's not super clean, but generally when Bitcoin makes a wedge into, or really any chart, but Bitcoin loves wedges. When you get that wedge and that bottoming into your impulse, right? This for me, like when you're looking at forming a higher low, for me, a really big thing is like, where was that initial demand on your impulse upwards? And on Bitcoin, in this case, you can just identify it here with, like a little rectangle. Where was that first kind of breakout? Where were like the earliest in Mag has this thing like, he calls like a smart money VWAP, but I think the concept is very similar in the sense like where were like the smartest people on this entire move getting in, and where were they really starting to get in aggressively? That's like that's like your impulsive move, right? So you can see it on a lower time frame, it was right there. And oftentimes like that's where you find support on any chart for basically anything. And that's where Bitcoin versus gold is currently. So here's another good example: impulsive move, full retrace. A lot of times you'll have like some wedge or bottoming pattern or bullish divergence into this level. And that's why that's one of the reasons that I'm kind of holding out hope for this chart to basically make a bottom here, is because I think the impulsive move, we're at the base of the impulsive move, and that's kind of the point. That's like the make or break point where obviously if this starts breaking down lower, then we're getting the case that kind of that Mag outlined, saying this could get a little bit uglier for Bitcoin, and gold could just be outperforming, or maybe gold goes sideways, Bitcoin crashes, whatever. But I'm actually like pretty, I don't want to say confident, but feel pretty good about the idea here that Bitcoin's going to kind of bottom in this range. And who knows, maybe it could take some weeks and we chop out and we grind out more of a rounded bottom than just like a V-shaped reversal, like that. But I think that gold going up and Bitcoin going up at the same time is very possible, and that eventually Bitcoin could bottom out here, put in a higher low. What I will say, and what I've said in this stream in the past, is that Bitcoin putting in a higher low here gets me just absurdly bullish on Bitcoin, mainly because you have this little, like, I've called it a box diamond pattern, where you get your higher high and your higher low, and that's an uptrend. Um,